Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. Today I have something rather exciting for you, my first Porsche 911. And no, I'm not talking about something made by Fisher Price, but this is in fact my very first drive in a 911, so a bit of a special day. The particular car we have here is a 997 Gen 1 Carrera S, so a rear wheel drive with the 3.8 litre flat 6 developing about 350 horsepower. The 997 Porsche 911 was launched in 2004 as a replacement for the outgoing 996 model. While the car was actually fairly similar to the 996 mechanically, the 997 arrived with a significant change to the way it looked and a much more modern interior. Gone were the so-called fried egg headlights from the 996, replaced with the much more familiar bug-eye style lights from previous generations. Despite the change though, it was still unmistakably a Porsche 911, with the overall silhouette staying true to its origins. It's definitely true to say that the design of the 911 has been an evolution rather than a revolution over the years, and I wouldn't be surprised if non-car people had trouble guessing the age of any 911 over the last 20 to 30 years. Not a bad thing of course, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it and all that. The car I'm driving today has a few modifications too. Some of you may be thinking that it appears to be sitting a little lower than a regular 997, and you'd be right. It's running on KW variant-free coilovers with adjustable camber and rear tow arms. It does sit beautifully, with the wheels just tucked up nicely inside the arches, giving only the occasional issue with speed bumps, as I found out in the video. Other modifications include a genuine aero kit from bumper and splitter, stainless steel performance back boxes and tips, Powerflex poly bushes and Tarox drilled discs with fast road pads. Interior wise, the car features a renowned steering wheel, a GT3 shifter and a short shift kit, plus some upgraded speakers and a CarPlay system. The owners have actually replaced a bunch of genuine parts to keep it feeling fresh, such as the interior heater control switches that are known to wear really badly on these. Also replaced with new genuine items are the scuttle panel, plastic mirror bases and some additional plastic trim from the centre console. This car has actually done over 100,000 miles, but it doesn't look or feel like half of that, to be honest. It's a really nicely cared for example. The owners are also planning to add a pair of Recaro pole positions at some point in the near future to further enhance the driving experience. So, time to get the car out on the road and see how she goes. Did I get the Porsche bug after driving my first 911? Watch on to find out.
In terms of a driver's car and a car that has back seats, I just don't think there's anything that can touch it. I just love the driving position, the steering feel.
The steering wheel size feels awesome as well.
Yeah. And
the feel of it, the Alcantara and the shifter.
Yeah,
nice.
Slightly smaller diameter than standard, but you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, people complain about my RS, actually fast forwards of recent years in general, they're always sort of saying the seating position's too high.
Yeah.
And it never bothers me. It doesn't bother me at all. But when you get into this, it definitely feels more purposeful.
What's funny is that once you've been if you get out of this and get into another car, it's like Jesus, I'm sat on the car.
Yeah.
It's such a shock because often I'll drive this to Nick's and then we'll swap and I'll take the M3 and we're always like, wow, the seat's so high, and you go to adjust the M3 seat and it doesn't go down anymore, it's already at the bottom.
Yeah.
And that generally every time you get in another car after driving this,
feels high.
You feel sat on it. And so I love the seating position in these. It's so good. It's
pretty comfortable as well.
These seats, right? So these are obviously the comfort seats.
Yeah.
And I'd say comfort is right. They're really, but they're really supportive as well.
Got that sort of nice balance.
So yeah, everyone goes on, raves about the sport seats, but honestly, I think these are fantastic from a, support and comfort perspective. Obviously, I want to put the buckets in this car, but it's just from a purely aesthetic thing. I just love the look of the buckets.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean they do look the nuts, the buckets, don't they?
Yeah. So.
But yeah, as a sort of like usable, comfortable but supportive seat, these are good.
Yeah, no, they're great.
Also, immediate observation, really easy to just drive slowly, just cruise about.
Well, honestly, if I could only have one car in the, and that was it, this would be the one, you know.
A lot of people say that about 911s, don't they?
Yeah, it's not accessible to everyone, but you can get a 911 from like 15,000 upwards, probably. You know,
can you still get one for 15,000 upwards?
Yeah, you'll get a little bit of a doggy 996 now, but I think you will get one for 15,000. And you know, for a lot of people, that's the price of a more modern like hatchback or something.
Yeah.
You know? So it is accessible, and honestly, like for reward, when I got my first 911, I just couldn't believe what a fantastic car it was. Like how it did everything, and you forget that I think the top speed on this car is like 182 miles an hour, which is totally ridiculous. And you forget that you're driving a car that's capable of that.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to the shops, or you're doing a mundane task, and actually you're driving a bit of a weapon.
Yeah, like it's not got quite that sort of where I've been out as a passenger in your 355. That every time you get in that,
you'll be just slowly. There you go.
Oh,
maybe not so fine.
yeah, I was going to say it doesn't feel like every time you get in the 355 it's an event, and it doesn't really feel like that here.
No,
it feels like purposeful in a way that you know you're driving a sports car, but it doesn't have the sort of like occasion. But then at the same time, it's probably a lot easier to like drive and live with as a more all-rounder, isn't it? Steering's got a little bit of weight to it on this. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Sort of just the right amount.
Yeah.
I suppose this is still, because it's a 997, is this still hydraulic power steering? I guess it feels like it. It's not electric assist, is it?
No, they didn't do that until much later. Yeah, so it's, but you've got, this car's had a new subframe, new arms, new obviously coilovers, new brakes. Even though you'll feel, I think I've got a bit of a dodgy caliper because the driver's side front disc, it warped, and Tarox kindly sent me another set, and it's warping again. So you can feel like when you brake slowly, like now, you'll feel it sort of like pull, and it sort of pulls with every rotation of the disc. So it's very subtle, but you'll feel it. So.
It comes alive later, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all about getting that upper rev.
Like sort of compared to my RS, where you get that kind of immediate shove.
You get that sort of torque, don't you?
Yeah.
Boost, low down grunt.
This is a lot more gradual.
Felt like you had to wring its neck to get it to go anywhere. This doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's an enjoyable amount of low down grunt.
Well, it's quite a meaty engine still, isn't it?
Yeah, and then it's a riot at the top end. It's like,
oh, it does feel nice going through these sort of flowing bends. That is nice. From limited experience so far.
Oh, that's
first time in a 911, so driving a 911.
Honestly though, this car's night and day from when we bought it, you know.
Doesn't feel its mileage.
No, it shouldn't do.
Not after what you spent on it.
We haven't done the engine rebuild, and we've spent what we paid for the car on improving it and upgrading it. Like, just.
Do you know what though? Like, you just never know with the car, or any car really. Like, you always end up having to spend some money on it, but they're just so, once you've had it for a couple, 2 or 3 years, and you've spent some money on it, they're always so much better.
Yeah, I don't mean that in a negative way at all. There's not a complaint. Like, I was talking to Nick the other day, and I was like, I don't begrudge a single penny that we spend on this car.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely just see it as we bought really cheap like, this is a 2-owner car. My uncle owned it, and prior to him, a friend of his.
So you know where it's come from?
Yeah, I've got. And funny enough, he dug out the original bill of sale and gave it to me the other day with all the options and everything on it. So it's a car, we know the full provenance of it.
Yeah.
And even before we bought it, Bobby spent like $7,000 at GT1 in Chertsey having a load of stuff done to it. We bought it and just continued piling in, doing everything on it.
It's the gear.
It's a good gearbox.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's got quite a nice short throat to it. Is that standard? You haven't
No,
got
it's a
short?
GT3.
Okay.
It's a little bit tighter than normal. I think the throw, I don't know if the throw is any different, but it's just a bit tighter.
Yeah, it's even in fourth there. It's still quite a nice bit of leg
Gets up and goes, doesn't it?
They're standard brakes though, are they?
They're fast road discs and pads.
Yeah.
The fast road pads.
They're not. You haven't
Tarot
changed
billet discs.
haven't changed the calipers though.
No, factory dimensions with the Tarox. You get these like cooling veins through the discs. They're like Venturi tunnels.
Yeah.
Actually, so they're supposed to cool more efficiently.
Is that different to like standard grooves?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So you'd have to. I'll show you like the Tarox video. I'll show you. They're beautifully like turned discs, like turned holes through the disc, sort of like twist through it. They're really lovely.
And obviously you've lowered this as well.
Yeah.
As you lower
Massively.
cars, as we found out on that speed bump,
Yeah.
despite going as slow as
So
possible.
Barnsport raised the car last week. So we've gone up 5 mil on the rear and 3 mil on the front.
Second to third action is lovely. And it sounds silly.
I love this gearbox.
It is a nice gearbox.
I bum this car, I just love it so much.
I can see why. Like, I know I'm a bit of a Ford guy, but I could see myself in one of these.
Just honestly, yeah, I love it. Sometimes I have to remind myself that like this would probably be like my dream car in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like it's.
I can see why you are interested in getting like a GT car.
Oh, yeah.
Like after this, like basically like this, but on steroids. That is what I'd imagine it to be like.
Yeah, exactly. Hardcore version of this. And also the great thing about a GT car is it's like it's pre-modified.
Yeah.
And like even the fact that it's on factory coilovers, all you've got to do is just wind them down a bit.
Yeah.
Job done. So it's got the wheels I like, it's got the seats I like, the cage, just everything about it will be just good to go really. It's, but you know, but genuinely, like if life circumstances were different and this was the only car I had, I think I'd be like getting the keys to this would be a really big deal and I'd be chuffed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a lot of car.
So, yeah.
I think if you kind of didn't have a lot of kids, you know, or any kids, then you could use this every day.
Oh, if I didn't have four, yeah. If I had two kids,
I mean,
then I'd need another.
you've got two seats, haven't you, in the back for that fit kids? So.
Yeah, I've been doing the school run in it a bit recently.
reasonably generous front as well.
Yeah,
Not too bad.
plenty of storage.
That's bigger than the front that I had on my MR2.
I mean, really some geeky details, but the cup holders are great on this. They're
I like them.
really
Yeah,
over-engineered,
they're cool.
but they're great cup holders. And the fact that they stow away like behind the little panel, and they're really neat when they're away.
There's a lot to say about a good cup holder in a car.
Yeah.
That's something that the Ford absolutely failed on with the Mark II Focus. In general, not just the RS, the cup holders suck.
The dial layout, the big rev counter in the middle.
Yeah, love it. And you just got a digital readout for your speed underneath, so you can kind of just keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Without sort of taking your eyes off the revs and everything.
Yeah, it's great.
It's nice. That's classic Porsche, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there you have it, guys. That was my first experience driving a 911, and what a treat it was. It was a pleasure to experience such a well cared for but lovingly used example with a few tasteful mods. It definitely felt like I was getting that OEM plus experience, which, as you'll know if you've seen my other videos, is something I really enjoy. The car felt like such an all-rounder, perfectly at home with pretty much all types of driving, excluding speed bumps of course. The driving position was excellent, together with the lovely weight of the steering and the feel of that shifter, making for a wonderful driving experience. So could I see myself in one of these? I love my RS, of course I do, but I'd be lying if I said the thought hadn't crossed my mind. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to like, comment and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.